But no, Martin Luther was much older. back in the time when the church and I don't. It wasn't called the Catholic. Was it called the Catholic?
The Roman Catholic.
The Roman Catholic Church, and it was a very, very big church.
In fact, it was one king and one religion for
Christianity. It was the one and only for Christianity. Like, you could not be considered a Christian unless you followed their rules. And then, so in the process of their rules, they started to make the rules to help them out instead of help out what Christ was originally here for. And that was help your neighbors, love your neighbors, take care of the poor, and be a good person. So, anyone have any idea of, like, off the bat, who Martin Luther is?
We talked a little bit about it.
He's the guy wasn't there like a storm and he said, if I get out of this, I'll become a Buddha, and he got out of it alive and became a Buddha.
Very close, not a Buddha. Well, Buddha and monks sometimes look or kind of feel a little bit same. Where yes, that's correct. He came from a very poor family. Well,
they were actually a little. They weren't poor,
but they were
middle class. The dad was a business owner, and the mom also had somewhat of a job too. But the reason we know they weren't poor is because Martin Luther did not need a scholarship to go to college. His parents paid for it.
Right.
So he had several brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
He went to college to become a lawyer.
Yes. Paid for education. And you guys know nowadays, how much does college cost? A lot. And exactly. And can you imagine your parents being like, okay, here, it's all paid off. Go make the family more successful, more richer. That's a huge responsibility from the family, right? I mean, that's like, kind of probably felt pressure to complete his father's envision for him to become a lawyer. But anyways, you were right. There's one day, and it's interesting how one single event can alter our life completely. One day he was walking along in this massive thunderstorm. I mean, it was lightning everywhere. Have you guys been on a hike where there's a lightning storm close by?
Nope.
Thank goodness, because one time I was here, that actually happened, where we heard trees exploding around us.
Yeah.
You know what happens if lightning hits a tree, right?
Yep.
It gets on fire.
It gets on fire. It explodes. Anyways, I'm just trying to paint a crazy picture of what Martin Luther was feeling in this lightning storm. So he prays. He's like, okay, if I survive this, serve you, I'll become a monk. So what do you guys think happened after that?
He survived and became a monk.
Yep, exactly. Just as it is. You have anything to add more to it?
I read today, I didn't realize that he was actually coming home. Before this lightning storm, he left his parents' home and was going back to school.
Mm-hmm.
And then so after the storm, and he survived the storm, decided to become a monk. He went to school. He went to school to learn the doctrine and to learn about how to be a monk.
And he also went to, it was a very hardcore, like, almost pain and suffering was a normal everyday thing. They had to sleep on cold floors and kind of beat themselves over their own sins. And there came a point where he had to go to Rome and saw, it's almost like if you like a star, don't meet them in person. Have you guys ever heard that? Or your role model in person? Yes. Yeah. Like, if you have a role model, try not to meet them in person because you can be very disappointing with the reality. So, and that's what happened to him when he went to Rome and he saw all these fancy big buildings and people that were high up in the religion were laughing about the poor and how they were just kind of following into it and just giving money. He was very unsatisfied with what he saw, and it shook his faith tremendously. So, with that being said, he kind of came up with a whole list of things.
Well, he religiously read the Bible. He'd pray all the time, and he'd read the Bible and look for answers. And back then, the Bible was written in Latin, and only people that were really high educated would know Latin. So it was mainly the very educated, and then of course the Pope and the priest would know what God had to say in the Bible. So he would read the Bible and read the Bible, and
You make copies of it.
not yet. He discovered some things that he felt the church was doing wrong. And for one, the church, or the priests were wanting to have a new church. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, we donations are all right with the church.
Right, but they were getting money from the poor people and the people around them by saying, you have to pay money to have your ticket to go into heaven.
What?
Yep. And he said, if you do something wrong, you can buy penance, and it would be your ticket of forgiveness, and then you'll be okay to go into heaven. So all these people would do that. They'd pay lots of money because they had sinned, they'd done something wrong, and then they believed that they were forgiven after they paid the price. That Martin realized that Jesus had already paid that price for us by living and dying on the cross. So all we had to do was believe in that, and we knew that our sins would be forgiven by believing in what Jesus did for us.
Mm-hmm. So with that being said, he wrote 95 things. What are they called?
Thesis, 95 thesis.
Thesis of what was wrong with the church. Now, a lot of people think he nailed it to the door, but some historians think that this might be a little exaggerated. He probably sent it off to a few important people. But let's just say, because that's how I learned it, he nailed it to the door of the church, and it got a lot of attention very quickly. And it got so much attention that the Pope himself saw it. And, well, he's the guy that's building these big churches and needs this money because they're kind of going and he doesn't want to give his own money to build this church. He wants other people to pay for it. So he starts to look for Martin Luther and has a trial. But now, luckily, who else this 95 thesis came, who was inspired by it, was a man named, the name escapes me.
It's a prince.
Yes, it's Prince. I should have wrote a note. I didn't. Sorry, guys. We had this all memorized, and is it Alexander? No, it's let's see. Cut for commercial break. We'll be right back after these messages.
You talking about who he sent the thesis to?
Well, who protected him?
Yeah.
Frederick the Wise.
Frederick.
Frederick the Wise.
Frederick. Yes, we're trying to. This guy. He could. Yeah.
Frederick the Wise and Martin Luther became friends.
Yes.
And Frederick really liked him, even though that he was part of the rulership.
Yes, and Frederick had to keep choosing the next emperor of Europe. So he was also very, like I say, he had a high position, and he said he told the next to be emperors, like, all right, I'll vote for you if you protect Martin Luther. So of course, the guy agrees. I can't remember the emperor's name, and I should know
It
that.
doesn't really matter, but
It doesn't matter. But anyway, so Luther actually now has some sort of protection against the Pope, the most powerful man in the world at that time. And at this point, the Pope now excommunicated Martin Luther from the church, which in that day and age, excommunication. What do you guys think excommunication is?
Banish. No longer go to the church.
Yeah, banish. That's practically death in a lot of in that day and age. In fact, some kings were excommunicated and would literally fall on their knees in the snow begging for the Pope's forgiveness. The Pope had a lot of power. He was very he was up there. He's like, yeah.
But the Pope was really
well, yeah, there was, of course, with power there oftentimes corruption moves in, So anyways, Luther goes on to trial again, and that's called the trial of flies. Yes, and that's where he. By this point, Martin Luther has gained a lot of popularity with a lot of the people, because they're like, yeah, why is the church, taking this much, and there's a lot of some unrest going on with Europe at the time, and by this point,
so he was considered with the diet of worms, resulted in his excommunication by the Pope and condemnation as an outlaw by the Holy Roman Empire. So they pretty much said, if you see him, you can kill him
on sight.
Yeah.
No questions asked.
Yep. And nothing will happen to you if you kill Martin Luther. Because they didn't like what he was doing. He was finding out their secrets and why they were doing what they're doing.
So after the trial, all of a sudden, Martin Luther gets kidnapped. Who do you think kidnapped him?
The prince.
Which one?
The prince.
Frederick. Yes.
Yeah, Frederick. Now, a lot of people thought the Pope did. He's like, oh, well, he got his way. The Pope, he kidnapped him and probably executed him somewhere privately, because they did not want to show, they didn't want to really show him.
Put it in the water.
They didn't want to give too much more light to Martin Luther. So the prince kidnaps him and tucks him away while a lot of this other stuff is going on. Like Europe is almost turning upside down.
Yeah, he's hidden in a castle.
He's
given all the fancy things, like he's given everything the comfortable bed.
Almost like Rapunzel. You know how she had all the time in the world sitting there? Well, Luther, instead of growing long hair, he actually translated the whole Bible into German.
The New Testament.
The New Testament first.
And to protect himself, he went from monks had to shave their head. He actually changed his look by growing hair.
And it's weird, it's weird how why would monks shave their heads? I need to look that up, but it's interesting how that's what they chose. So it's great that he's able to grow a full head of hair, because I don't think I can anymore. Yeah, it does. It does. Have you guys? I haven't seen that hairstyle lately. Have you guys seen any? Yes.
So our counselor Jamie, she said she used to be a monk, and so some part of her hair is shaved off.
Really?
And so she said she had to climb the Eiffel Tower with plungers and swim around some building really quickly and try to open a giant door. And do all that to become a monk.
Interesting. Okay, well.
Monks shave their head to get rid of all the worldly desires. So that's it's a symbolic thing that they do. So when they shave their head, they're saying, we're not going to be a part of that anymore.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
So he translates the whole New Testament from Latin, which hardly anybody could read, to German, which everyone in the land could read. And something that at that time, the printing press was just getting started. So in no time at all, 100,000 Bibles were printed and sold so the common people could read it. And so people could read for themselves. Is what Martin Luther is saying really true? Is there something wrong with the church that we've worshipped for so long? And so they discovered the truth and could speak up for themselves. And then after that time, they were selling penance to forgiveness of sins. They were selling tickets to get into heaven. And then they decided, oh yeah, now you need to pay taxes or on your livestock and give that to the church. So all these poor people were having to pay even more money.
Mm-hmm.
And then they could see it in the Bible. No, that's not what God says that we will do. We have the forgiveness of sins, and we'll pay what we were supposed to pay, but to pay more than, or they're really trying to follow the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
So Martin Luther ends up getting married to is it Katerina? Katerina Bora.
An ex-nun. And at that time, it was unheard of for a monk to marry.
And nuns to marry.
And nuns to
They
marry.
were not going to get married.
So again, that's another sign of a rebel.
And married about when he was 41, Elizabeth, Magdalena, Martin, Paul, and Margaret. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kids.
And Luther, he didn't want to come up with his own church. He didn't even, that wasn't his motive. He was just wanting to correct things, that were going on with the church. He didn't want the church to divide. He wanted to keep it same. But I guess as time went on, people did go their separate ways. And Catholics are our system. That's where we come from. We still consider ourselves a descendant from Catholic Church. So
one thing we did leave out, the Pope was trying to get Luther to say, I'm sorry for writing the thesis, and then he would have been okay, but Martin stuck to the truth and said, no, this is what's really wrong. I'm not going to say I'm sorry for finding that. This is what needs to be changed. So the main thing is pretty much they're saying it's wrong we shouldn't pay money to go to heaven. We should have to pay money for our sins, because who paid that price already? Jesus. So if you forget everything about the story, if we remember that, all we have to do is believe in Jesus to forgive us of our sins, to go to heaven. That's the main thing that we need to remember.
So what do you guys think of Luther? Right?
He was right.
I mean, I'd be pretty scared to go up against that. I mean, do you think you guys could do that to this day? I mean, that's pretty scary. To go up against the most powerful man, but still, yet he lived the life. He wasn't caught. Yep, God protected him. And here we are at a camp named after him. So the next section that we want to do is talk a little bit more about prayer. Oh, yeah.
In what order did Luther write the catechism? Did he write the catechism or the Bible first?
We first did the Bible, and then he did write the small catechism to explain some of the important things in the Bible. So the Ten Commandments, the Lord's Prayer, and the Apostles' Creed and the Nicene Creed. So he wanted everyone to understand it. So people just couldn't read it or say it, they would know the meaning.
Oh, cool! I found this. Thank you. I found this. Chronologically, Luther and the Bible, 1529.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add to what we've already said?
I don't know. I think you said it all. It's just interesting.
It is really interesting. There's actually a movie on it.
I watched it in 6th grade here.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys already watched it?
Yeah,
I was
oh,
planning
Amelia
a whole
did.
movie night. I was gonna get
still-
some
It's a
popcorn.
long time ago.
I've never
I was
watched
the
it.
only
It's
one
called
to-
Luther.
I didn't watch it.
Yeah, Amelia's the only one that's
It's
seen it.
very cinematic, and I'm a film person, and
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty well done.
But a good thing to do with the movie is to be able to stop and say, what just happened?
And then kind of make a
Yeah.
lesson out of it.
Right.
I
That's
mean,
what we did for 6th grade.
We
Yeah.
can still do it.
all right, we're still gonna do it at some point. It's gonna be a movie night.
Movie night.
Exactly, movie night with popcorn, please. Popcorn, please.
Popcorn, please.
And maybe pizza. And maybe pizza.
Maybe pizza.
All of this.
Definitely pizza. Definitely pizza. That's kind of hard to say all at once.
He was born in the 1400s and died in 1546
hmm Good to know.
at age 62.
Yep.
He died at
That's young.
62. Wow.
Well, actually, in those days and age, that was old.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
That was how.
For lack
Yeah.
of medicine.
That means he died.
Little resources
Yeah.
Mhm.
when it came to health wise and
And what age can you die today? What age is supposed to be?
Average is 85.
Something like that.
Mhm.
That means he died
The
like,
oldest person's
before
113.
maybe some of these people are adults.
Probably.
Right, so he
Yeah.
was married when he was 41. So his oldest kid would have been maybe 20? 19, 20? That's sad. It is sad.
Wait.
Just something to think about real quick. Imagine if Luther had done what he did back then, now, in the age that we live in with technology and social media. I wonder how that would have been received.
Well, maybe, but what made Luther so successful, I think, was the fact that he had a friend to help him, and the printing press came out.
Yep.
Okay.
Those two elements, he was able to spread the word very, very quickly. Now, of course, it's nowadays it takes seconds to broadcast
Social
all
media.
over the world, but back
Yep.
then it took months or weeks. But before the printing press, it took years.
Could write an essay on that.
You could, yeah. And so
You should.
Anything else? Anyone? Any other questions? Should we talk about the acts?
All right. So there's a really cool prayer model that is a great way of remembering how to pray. And it's called Acts. And it's based off of the Lord's Prayer, but it starts out as A for adoration. So if you think of the Lord's Prayer, the first part is, Our Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So the first is adoration. You're praising God for who he is.
Wait, I think I did.
So it's kind of like if you must think of your fingers.
You did that last time?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did A on Monday, and then each day we did a new letter.
This
And
whole
we
week?
also got him.
no,
No.
last
Didn't we do like
19
a-
when we came,
Ah,
each day was
We're just
one
doing
letter.
all the topics.
Yeah, but this is a quick review because
Okay.
I've heard it also, and by reading it again, oh yeah, that's what it's about. So adoration is like giving God a thumbs up. He doesn't need our praise, but we are giving it to him because he's our God. So adoration, thumbs up, yay God. C is confession. So you're pointing fingers, but mainly at yourself. Like, please forgive me of all the wrong things I have done, whether it's something you've thought of, something you've done. Even our thoughts are sin, and we need to confess to God the things we've done wrong. So A is adoration for yay God. C, confession, pointing fingers at yourself. I am so sorry for what I've done. So A, adoration. C, confession. T stands for? No?
Thanks.
Thanks. So that's the biggest one.
Yes.
We are thankful for everything. So it's the biggest one. For everything. So think of everything you're thankful for, from the simplest things to the
The
biggest things. Yeah.
I feel like in Bible study we did like this craft where we traced our hand and then we did a.
That's exactly what we did.
And then our palm we did something.
Okay.
Like a little keychain with the colors of the beads.
I like that. So A is
Adoration.
adoration. Yay.
Confession.
C, confession. T is
Thanks.
thanksgiving. And S, you know what S stands for?
Wait.
You're right.
Supplement?
Supplication, which part of that word is supply. So that would be things that you need. So you can even think of it as supplies.
Give us this day our daily bread.
That's right. So let's go over it again. A is adoration for yay God. Thumbs up. C is confession. I'm so sorry for things that I've done. According to yourself. T is thanksgiving, remembering everything that God has done for us. So A, C, T, and then S is supplication for supplies and things that we need. So, and then if you look at that, it's two fingers. We might need a lot, but God will give us what we need. Right? Oh, there you go. Amen.
That's
Things that
nice.
we
Didn't
need.
even think about that.
And amen. Yes. And you know what amen stands for?
No.
It means for.
Goodbye.
It means let this be so.
Let it be so.
Let it be so.
Oh, I thought you meant like
Right. Let it be so.
I thought you meant like an acronym.
For amen?
Yeah.
No, it means there's a meaning to it. It means let it be so.
So with this time, with the nice little pure water, we're gonna hand you guys some paper, and each of you are gonna write an act prayer of all of what we just talked about.
Yeah. So it can be, if you want to keep it to yourself, you can. If you want to share it, you can do that too. Write it. If you
If you have your journal, write it in your journal.
Paper. Oh, we have paper.
What do you have in your rocks?
I think there might be rocks in there.
What was the date on Monday?
Oh, it's my water bottle.
Oh man, yeah. What do you have in there?
Hey, Tyler,
Yeah.
what was the date for Monday?
Date for Monday?
Yeah.
I know.
The 12th? Was it the 12th?
No.
Mine-
It's 11.
mine
It's
somewhere.
11. Anyone else need paper and pen?
Yes.
And another one?
You know what? On mine.
I have an erasable
Have
pen.
some too.
If someone
I need some paper.
I need paper.
Here, I'll have some too.
Okay. So if you think of the Lord's Prayer, we'll say it when we're done. That our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. That's adoration.
Wait, how's prayer spelled?
Pray.
Prayer.
P-R-A-Y.
Why go ask?
Then give us our daily bread. That would be our supplication. And forgive us our trespasses. That would be confession. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. That would go with supplication. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen.
Adrián.
What do we do?
Write the Acts acronym down, and then remember what the letters stand for. And then
Did you know?
what's the C stand for again? So A is adoration. I'm gonna write that down. A
It's confession.
Confession. Confirm. Same thing.
You can just write it in your and just sound it out.
R-A-T-I-O-N. Is today the 16th?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait, no, the S. What's that spell?
Supplication.
Thank you.
Okay.
So what's A again?
Adoration. Remember that was the thumbs up. Yay, God. C, what was C? Confession. What was T? Thanksgiving. Remember, this last one, Thanksgiving's the biggest one. We should be thankful for a lot.
What is he?
T,
C.
C, confession. Remember, you're pointing fingers at yourself.
And then wait, the T.
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
What?
Thanksgiving's the biggest one.
What's S?
Supplication.
Or you can even think of supplies. And then the pinky, I did a notice that is amen, let it all be so. I saw that in Amelia's room, she still has posted her handprint, and it has the A for adoration for thumb, for you, God, right? And you wrote each one on the pinky, on
We
your
did that
handprint.
at
Mm-hmm.
And God, I like it.
Wait, the last letter is A for amen.
Yeah. You don't have to write it
You don't
down,
have to
but
just
yeah.
write it for amen. Otherwise it'd be AXA.
Accent.
AXA.
How do I start off with that?
What's the question?
I don't know how to start off with that.
You don't know how to
So
spell
you
what?
were saying like something like it's amazing like I'm starting mine off. It's just amazing that God's creation
Mm.
and to be surrounded by nature and his creation. It's just simply amazing. It's just amazing for everything that he's done for us and is continuing to do. To giving God compliments and bringing God. God is so good.
Does everyone have their prayer?
It's something that the waters remind me of a verse in Psalm 23. You lead me beside the still waters, you restore my soul. I think this is definitely a place where our soul can be restored and our focus can be redirected towards God. And
So before we can get into the prayer, I'm going to be signing off so that we can do that in private. So we're just going to let everybody know that we are signing off. So everybody say bye-bye.
Bye.
And I'll go over the time there. Bye, guys. We'll see you soon.